Hello, friends. You've stumbled across a short clip from the Daily Switch 2 podcast, which, believe it or not, is a podcast that is about the Switch 2 with new episodes released daily. What will they think of next? Right, man, 9 games to cover, and the first one of them today is Absolum. Absolum is coming on the Switch 1. Unfortunately, no dedicated Switch 2 version, but I'm sure many people will be playing on Switch 2, obviously. I don't know if there's a physical version. I couldn't find information for that, but I would absolutely imagine that even if it hasn't been announced, I would imagine that there will be, maybe from one of the small print run companies like Limited Run or Super Rare, etc. I don't know, but I would imagine that there will be, but just because of the genre and the quality of this as well. The release date is the 9th of October, so pretty soon. We already knew about this game. It's been previewed before in I think in Nintendo events. I think it's been in an Indie World or a Nintendo Direct. Don't remember. But we already knew about it anyway. But we got a new trailer, and the new trailer gave us a release date, 9th of October. So it's from .emu and Guard Crush, with animation from Super Monks, and all three of those names should get you very excited. They're all kind of best in class, really, aren't they? This, for those that don't know, the genre is side-scrolling beat-em-up, and we've just had He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Dragon Pearl of Destruction, which I covered on the last episode, part 1, but this is another one in a different direction. But I mean, these guys have worked on all kinds of amazing things, including obviously Streets of Rage 4, and the animation from Super Monks. They make incredible anime style or kind of 90s TV animation style animated cutscenes. Absolutely fantastic. This is again similar to the He-Man game. It's I guess similar to Golden Axe, D&D Chronicles of Mystaria, all of those kind of fantasy based side-scrolling beat-em-ups. However, this is different from the He-Man game in several ways. The first way is they describe it as an original roguelite beat-em-up. Now, I said in a previous episode that one of the quickest ways to make me not care about a game is to describe it as roguelite. I know many people like them, and I understand that they're very good for, giving value for money, because you, in theory, have infinite replay value. It's just that for me, I tend to prefer things to be more tightly designed. I like to feel that every level, every area, every challenge was designed by hand. I'd rather a very small experience that's very tightly crafted rather than a randomized experience or a procedurally generated experience in general. But there are exceptions, and this may be an exception because it does look very, very interesting, and the gameplay looks fantastic and very satisfying. Also, the second way that this is very different from the He-Man game is slightly more controversial, perhaps, what I'm going to say. The art style for this it's not a pixel art style. It's like Streets of Rage 4 in that it's very well drawn, beautifully drawn, hand-drawn and hand-animated characters and backgrounds. But as I mentioned in the He-Man video, that actually does, for me at least, cause a problem. I know some people love the style, but for me it causes a slight mismatch. Because in order for a scrolling beat-em-up to play well and to control well and feel like the classic games of old, you can't have too many frames of animation. Like the example I used before was maybe, if you press punch, you can only really have maybe 2 frames of animation for the punch, because once you get more than that, it starts to slow down the reaction times of, okay, I pressed the button and now it has to run through multiple frames of animation before the action happens. And for a old 90s style arcade action. You don't want that. So the problem then becomes when you have a very beautiful, very modern, very sleek, so high res that you can't even see the pixels art style that looks absolutely beautiful, but you have to purposely lower the frames of animation. To me, that causes a little bit of a mismatch, and to me it just feels more natural to have pixel art than this kind of HD super beautiful art that looks fantastic in screenshots but then has less frames of animation when it's all moving. You can have a lot of beautiful animation for the walk cycles. You can have as many frames as you want for that, but for the actual moves, you can't. And things like holds and grabs and throws, you just can't. You have to very much limit the animation. So for me, the limited animation feels more natural with a retro style. But it's very much a matter of preference. And I know some people will look at these graphics and think they look absolutely incredible. And I agree that the art is beautiful. The art is beautiful, and where it really shines is the animated cutscenes. I don't know whether there's going to be full animated cutscenes or whether it's just an intro and maybe an ending thing, or whether there's full cutscenes as well. I don't know, but the animation is absolutely stunning, and the drawings are stunning. Just the design of everything is great. My only real qualm is that the backgrounds, even though they're clearly hand-drawn and very nicely so, it looks a bit too clean to me because it's vector art, hand-drawn vector art, but vector art nonetheless. For me, this type of game where you have really, really nice, beautiful hand-drawn sprites, it kind of works better if the backgrounds are painted, like watercolor or whatever, so to separate the sprites, because what you end up with is vector art sprites end up looking like cell-drawn animation, right? And cell-drawn, like old, cartoons. But cell-drawn animation, the characters were always very separate to the background. So like an old Disney-style cartoon, or even an old, Dick animation cartoon, or Filmation, like He-Man, whatever. The cells, the stuff that moves, the characters, etc., would be inked and then painted in something like acrylics onto see-through cells, transparent cells, acetate. But the backgrounds, which stay still, were, usually more like hand-painted, maybe watercolor paintings, or just in a very different style, and that added a real separation, so the characters kind of stand out more. Now, if you have this kind of beautiful hand-drawn cell animation style, vectors work really well for replicating the look of those hand-painted individual animation cells. But vectors don't work very well, in my opinion at least, for more organic backgrounds, because they have too clean and too hard edges. So these backgrounds are absolutely beautiful. They're very well drawn. They're really nice. But for me, if there was some kind of filter that could be added on top of them, which you can absolutely do in real time with shaders, or just run them through Photoshop and just make it look a little bit more like a hand-painted background, to me, that would work a lot better, because it would really give the feeling of, okay, I'm controlling a cartoon. The obvious example is Cuphead did that really, really well, didn't it? But again, these are just personal art preferences. I'm not saying the art is bad. It's not. It's genuinely fantastic art. It's really, really good. It's just to me, it could be made even better. That's the way I'm going to put it. Now, as I said, it's an interesting take, because it's not just a side-scrolling beat-em-up, it's a roguelite beat-em-up. And there's branching paths to the levels, so it can't be completely random. There must be some way in which these levels are designed, but then there's a level of randomness to it as well. I don't know, I haven't played it. There is a demo, or there was previously a demo. I don't know whether it still exists, but I know for certain there previously was a demo, and I remember people saying that it was one of the best beat-em-ups that they had ever played. And even the demo could be played for many, many hours without getting bored because of the branching paths, random elements, timed surprises, etc. Now, I mentioned in part 1 that I'm actually working on at least one, possibly 2, but the second one is a bit secretive and it's not 100% confirmed yet because it's with a partner. But yeah, at least one scrolling beat-em-up that I'm actually working on myself. So maybe I'm a bit biased in my opinions on what should or shouldn't be in a scrolling beat-em-up. This is very, very different to the game that I'm making, but that's good. It's unique. It's doing something different. And the one criticism that people have of scrolling beat-em-ups tends to be, yeah, it's fun, but it's very repetitive, it's very generic, it's once the experience is over, it's over. That I don't personally agree, but that is something that you do hear some people saying. And you have to be aware of when you're making a scrolling beat-em-up. Okay, well, I need to try and add some unique elements. I need to try and make it as replayable as possible and add as much variety as possible to the layouts and to the enemies, and maybe can we think of some original ideas for the gameplay without changing things too much so it still feels like a classic old 90s Capcom or Konami scrolling beat 'em up, or Streets of Rage or whatever, Sega as well. Yeah, so that's definitely what they've done here. They've come up with a unique take on the scrolling beat 'em up idea. So, like I say, I haven't personally played the demo myself. I was very interested in it. I love the art style. To be honest with you, the reason why I avoided it and didn't play the demo before was I was very busy at the time, but also I don't tend to get on with roguelite games. But after that demo, I saw all these people talking about how amazing it was. So now I'm a heck of a lot more interested. So let's watch the trailer. I've not watched this particular trailer, but the reason why I've talked about it a lot is because obviously we did know about this game before and I've seen previous stuff on it. Let's watch this new trailer and then I'll give a quick reaction to it afterwards. Yeah, see these animated cuts, they're just beautiful. Look at them. The use of colour is fantastic. The composition, the shots, it's gorgeous. There's no notes as far as the animated stuff goes. Yeah, yeah, it's gorgeous and it's beautiful. It's really the character design is great as well. But yeah, for the gameplay looks really good. It looks really satisfying. But okay, here it's not quite as bad. Yeah, in some of these areas it does have the problem, like I say, of the characters to me look like they kind of blend into the backgrounds a bit too much. It's all because it's the same style. It doesn't feel as separated as I'd like it to. And that's a very easy fix. October the 9th. Yep, cool. Right, so yeah, I think I've already said everything that needs to be said. The trailer didn't really change my mind on anything. The gameplay does look really good, really satisfying. I love the character designs. That's something I didn't say before. I don't know if we've seen that frog or toad character before. I don't remember seeing it before, but I really liked it. It was giving me flashbacks of kind of the 1980s Wind in the Willows, and obviously Ichabod and Mr. Toad, but also Rupert and the Frog Song. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was actually quite a dark and scary, weird animated thing with Paul McCartney doing the music and for a Rupert cartoon for some reason. Anyway, I thought it looked really good. I thought it looked like the gameplay was really satisfying. The animated cutscenes, as I keep saying, really good, top class, best in class, really, really good. Love it. My only problem is those backgrounds. They're well drawn, but because they're the same vectors, the same priority of contrast, and using the same color palettes as well. It doesn't give the look of an animated cel-drawn cartoon, because in a cel-drawn cartoon, the characters would have more separation and the backgrounds would be in a different art style that would be slightly softer. So for me, it's frustrating, because to me it's such an easy fix. They could just add something in the options to turn on a shader, and it would slightly desaturate the colors, slightly smooth over everything, and give like a more kind of hand painted look to the edges. And to me, that would make it 100% better. But again, it's just a matter of preference. It's not game ruining by any standards. It was only really a problem in some of the areas. In other areas, there was more of a contrast in the colors. So yeah, and maybe it is just a matter of personal preference. I'm sure for other people, they're like, no, it looks perfect. Why would you want to ruin it by putting like some kind of filter on the graphics? I don't know. It's just interesting. It's interesting. Like I say, I'm a dev myself, making a scrolling beat 'em up myself. I'm currently working on 2, but the second one is a demo. It hasn't been 100% confirmed by the owners of the IP yet, because it is for an IP. But I'm making scrolling beat 'em up myself. Completely different to this one, and also we've just literally in part 1 looked at the He-Man Dragon Pearl one, which again completely different to this one, but for me, I mean, that's all good. It's all good to have as much variety as possible, and it really does sound like Absolum is doing something very interesting with the kind of RPG-ish elements and the random the random elements and the splitting paths. There's obviously going to be a lot of replay value to this one, so I really do applaud the devs. And as I said, all 3 companies involved with this are absolute best-in-class companies who have an amazing track record that speaks for itself. So I'm sure this is an excellent one. I'm sure this is one to watch out for, even if to my personal artistic and gaming tastes, there's things that I would do differently. I absolutely think this looks like a quality project, and I will be looking out for it. And I will almost certainly be picking up the physical version of this, assuming that there is a physical version for Switch. Yes, absolutely. Previously, I've been giving tier list rankings to all the titles, but not putting them in any kind of order. I'm going to wait till Gamescom is over to put them in an order. But just if I had to put this in a tier list, I'm going to put this at a solid A tier as to how interested I am. Not quite into S. He-Man was an S, but yeah, no, solid A tier for this. Fantastic. Great start to this part 2 episode. Right, what's next? Well, that was funny / sad / informative / stupid, wasn't it? Feel free to mentally redact to make that make sense with the clip that you just heard. I don't know what it was. I'm just recording a bumper. But if you enjoyed the clip, please give it a like. If you'd like to hear more, click subscribe, and you can find all the ways to listen to and support the full daily podcast at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2. Let's go! Did I sound like I mean that? I do. I really do.